So, um, after Elysium, and probably the next night, we find Mason Cassidy uh, heading towards uh, the bar on the university campus that he originally met Sabina and Ezekiel at. It's Plato's Cave, I believe it was called. Thanks, Eric. Um, he's arranged to meet with Ernest Lynch to discuss some various matters, and he approaches and enters inside, and it's quite quiet, but it's still, there's still university students all about the place, just kind of sitting down, mingling, but nothing too rowdy at the moment. And he looks over and sees Ernest, I imagine.
Yeah, Ernest is like sat at like a table on his own. For once, he's not wearing like a full suit. He's wearing like a shirt and jeans. Maybe the first time it looks kind of uncomfortable. You see that some people are giving him a bit of a wide berth, and as you get closer, you see that he looks a bit paler than the last time you saw him, like a little bit sunken eyes, maybe showing a bit more of the less human aspects of him.
Right.
But he's like sitting over a drink in front of him, half drunk. You don't know whether he spilled it on the floor or actually consumed it himself.
Right.
But he's kind of just like sits there and sees you coming and like does a small wave and smile.
Mason will give him a nod and a wave. He'll grab himself a drink to not look too weird, and then he'll sit down. Thank you for meeting with me, Ernest. Good evening.
I wanted to meet with you anyway. How are you doing?
Not bad actually. It's it's been oddly more pleasant nights recently, and I'm sure that won't last. But take what I can get.
Well,
and yourself?
I'm going to listen was a bit of a storm.
Yes.
I try my best to apply myself, but I still am very uncomfortable with all the politicking and scheming, and it's not my forte, should we say? But,
no, to be honest, I quite loathe the politics of it all, but it's unfortunate but necessary sometimes.
But from what I can calculate, it seems it worked out rather well for most people, yourself included.
Well, yes, I wouldn't say it worked out terribly. No, we didn't really gain much, but it was good to have. It was good to have all the circle there.
Oh, you didn't gain much, but the people who you don't like might have lost a lot.
Yes, I've definitely got that feeling.
And as much as we like to think about the now and the current, it's very important to think about the future.
Of course.
I wanted to speak to you, but is there something you wish to say first? How can you...
Yes, this is more of a personal matter. Before Elysium and quite before, after Bart's untimely passing, Tessa and I began searching for Bart, whatever Bart might have left behind, and we both were continuing that search. But obviously, now that the university is in the Ordo's control, it would be unbecoming and rude of me to assume that I can continue such a search. So I'd like to ask for your permission to come onto the university for that purpose. Of course, if it's be down to Gerjo, or if you'd rather that not happen, I completely understand. But it's something I'd like to see through, if possible.
You know what it is particularly you're looking for? I spoke to Tasha about this. She seems to be working all night looking for something. She seemed rather devoted to it.
Yes. Well, we don't know what we're looking for, is the problem. And Bart loved his puzzles, so we're starting off in the library, trying to find any clues that we can. Made a little bit of headway thus far, but nothing major. But it could take scouring the entire university to find it, knowing Bart. But
Yes.
anything he
Well,
might have left behind, be it a journal, notes, maybe research that he had, I'm not interested in. If he had any research or anything, I'd like to know what was left behind.
yes. I imagine you two were close. It seemed you were working together quite frequently.
Yes, yes, I'd like to think so.
Well, fortunately for you, Gerjo has given me the domain. Hopefully the official changes are happening soon. And, well, I know that Tessa is looking for whatever it is, and the more eyes could help. I'll be more than happy to let you do this, but
Of course, thank you.
I imagine anything you find, you can let us know as well.
Oh, absolutely. I don't plan on keeping it to myself. As it's the Ordo's domain, it would be wrong of me to withhold that from you.
Yes, and with the future we have ahead, I think it would be beneficial for both the Ordo and the Circle to be working more closely together in the future. It seems there's some problems that, well, really certain people from ours and yours can help with.
Yes, it seems that with the information that both covenants seem to already possess and can find, both will be instrumental in the fights to come.
We had a very, very brief discussion when we first met about this Strix problem.
Yes.
I wondered if we could further on this. I've done some research and uncovered some things.
Absolutely.
I was wondering if we could share some information, see what you might better benefit from.
Absolutely.
How many of these things have you encountered, if any?
A few. I think there was one in the in a underground forgotten subway under Hoech Island, I believe. It sounded like there was quite a few of them actually, but I only saw one. There was one that we managed to take from there a bit later on, and I believe that is the one that's now that's wrapped up in my more private situation. And there was one that another one that we saw. I think must have been walking towards. It was possessing a dead body, and it was following me, and then it might have been the same one, but there's been at least 3 or 4, I would say.
That was rather worrying.
Possibly more, but that's the lowest number I could give.
Have you had any success with capturing, defeating, or scaring them off?
Well, there was the first time we encountered one. I was with the previous Scourge, Bob, and he and I managed to severely beat down its host, and then it left. It escaped, letting out a horrific shriek that seemed to alert many others that responded in kind with such shrieks. There was one that we captured. We staked the kindreds, the revenants that it was possessing. But then when we set fire to what we put fire near it, the stake didn't make a difference. It kept moving. It seems that it's also vulnerable to fire, or at least scared of it like we are.
Interesting. When you said capture it, did you mean you captured a person that it was possessing?
Yes, we captured a person that was possessing. We've not captured anything one of its own yet.
Okay. So it seems so far the only weaknesses you found is fire?
Yes.
I've been looking into the more occult side of things. It's something there's a lot of old tomes, a lot of research, and the difficult with it is it's very hard finding the facts from the fiction. Even with us, you've heard all the stories for hundreds of years of things, silver bullets, garlic, all this kind of thing.
Yes.
Some of which are true, sunlight and fire, others which aren't. And it's very difficult to find the misconceptions and the truth. I've found bits of information, weaknesses that they might possess, and some of their powers, but as I said, they're a bit uncertain, but it could possibly be useful.
I was able to... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was able to acquire a very, very old, ancient file from the mental asylum. It seems to speak of it speaks of these things in ancient times. It's called the Marinus Excerpt. It was given to me by the enigmatic Baron Donetian who resides within the asylum, but it seems incomplete.
Okay.
I could get a copy for you.
That would be handy, see if there's anything I can find from it.
Yes, and I was planning on, at some point, Bart and I agreed that it would be best to return to the Baron at some point, see if he had anything else any other information he could give. The problem is that he never interacted with me directly, only through illusions or images.
An enigmatic figure. Interesting.
Yes. Of course, if you'd like to accompany me in this the next time I go, I would welcome the help.
Okay. Now, the information I have that might be able to help. These possessive creatures, I believe they can only take control of kindred when they're tortured. I believe we have some resistance to them while we're still conscious, but in that sleeping state, they can control us.
Okay.
So be wary of anybody you know who recently awoke. Does anybody like that come into mind?
The only people I know of who've recently awoke are, well, Anya, but the things I've seen her do, it's not. No. The things I've seen her do are not what these birds do.
I also believe that while they have a kindred's body, they're still able to create more.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure if that will just create more kindred or create more Strix. I believe it will probably be the latter. So anybody you hear of that's recently woke up and for some reason is very interested in having more children might be a worrying sign. And the last is about the staking issue. I believe there is one material that might be able to stake and put them into a sleep, but it's rather difficult to obtain. Have you ever heard of Damascus steel?
Haven't, no.
Well, it's a rather enigmatic resource. It's one of those things from ancient times that everybody says of the power and the occult use of it, but its creation has been lost. It's a type of steel used to make swords, but nobody knows how to create it anymore.
Okay.
I believe it might be able to be used to stake a Strix, but to get it in the first place is going to be very difficult.
Yes. Either somehow we find some or figure out how to create it ourselves.
Yeah, I think it'd be more likely we need to buy one from a museum somewhere, which
Mm,
unfortunately I don't have the funds for, but something we can look into.
of course.
I plan on doing more research, and anything I find I wish to share with, especially you and the circle, so we can solve these problems. But
I appreciate that, and anything that I come across, I'll be sure to keep you updated.
I do have a question. It's more about your clan's capabilities. I know you have greater insights. Do you have the ability to look at kindred and know whether they're possessed?
Potentially. Potentially.
Something I would recommend trying out, because knowing who's possessed is the greatest difficulty.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not 100% sure, but I can absolutely try this.
Now, I know, unfortunately, this is a very delicate issue, but sometimes time can be of the essence.
Indeed.
I believe soon I might be able to have a way to prevent people from being possessed, but to remove the Strix from the body is going to be much more difficult.
I understand.
Keep an eye on your friend who seems to be possessed, and if any point you worry that it might be coming to the end of their leash, we can try what we can to get them out.
Oh well, thank you. Thank you. I'll be sure to, when I come by to continue my search, I will give you a copy of the Marinus excerpt.
Thank you. It would be helpful. It seems we have a lot to look out for, and our specialities are needed much more today than ever.
So it would seem.
And it's going to look in the room. Unless you've got anything else to say, I should probably leave before people start asking too many questions.
Of course. That's all. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, and best of luck.
Same to you. And Mason will kind of reach for a handshake.
Yeah, Ernest will reach over and shake his hand.
Well, good luck in your search, Earnest.
You too. And Ernest will step up and start to leave.
Okay. Mason will do the same. And that is where we end the scene.